right, welcome to week 5, everyone. We're at that halfway point, so we've got halfway through the class. We've got the second half to go. Before we dive into this week's learning activities, I want to apologize. Last week, I just realized that in the agenda video, I didn't go over the out of context project, and I have no idea how I missed that. Please forgive me. My brain must have been elsewhere that day. So if you had any questions about that assignment or if anything didn't make sense, let me know if something was unclear, if you struggled with anything on that. And again, I apologize that I didn't go over that, but it looks like all of you pretty much saw it anyway and made sure you got that submitted. So let's go over week 5. We're going to be talking about beauty, taste, and meaning. So we have our reading. We're reading chapters 7 and 8 of our text, which is Approaches to Art and Arguing About Art. We have a lecture on taste and aesthetics. Our artist of the week is a guy named Vic Muniz, and you're going to be watching a documentary about him that he created called Wasteland, and then you're also going to be watching another documentary called Why Beauty Matters, and you're going to be writing a film review on it. So lots of documentaries this week, and then you have your quiz as always. So let's jump into this. So again, reading chapter 7, chapter 8. Here are your lecture slides. I will get the video in there for you ASAP. By the time you're looking at this, the video should be in there. And it's a pretty short lecture, not terribly long this week. Just a few terms I want you to be aware of. Okay, your artist of the week, again, is Vic Muniz. So I've just included, this is a short video. This is one of his TED Talks that he did. And so I want you to go ahead and take a look at that and explore his website. There is no Q&A attached to this week's Arts of the Week, so you don't have to submit anything for this, especially since we're going to be writing about Vic Muniz's work in our reflection, which is the film Wasteland. It is on Hulu. It's also on Netflix for you. If you click on this link, it should take you to where you can view it. And this is a 1 to 2 page journal response that you're going to be doing. And what I want you to do is include insight concerning how art can be a healing tool and a source of spiritual joy and energy. Whose story in the film impacted you the most? Did your opinion of Vic Muniz change from the beginning of the film to the end? Students love this documentary. I always get great feedback, and I say, oh, I want my whole family to watch it. Changed my perspective. It really, opened up the world to me. It's a really brilliant, really well done film, and I hope you enjoy it. So again, this is a journal entry, so you don't have to worry about responding to peers, anything on this one. 1 to 2 pages, double spaced. And again, this can be typed just directly in the text editor. You do not have to include any attachments. In fact, I prefer you to do it in the text editor and not include any attachments in these reflections. Okay, and then we have our film review. So you're going to be watching the documentary Why Beauty Matters, and I have featured it below, and also you can click on this link. When it says here that you can't view it, you can't actually play it here, but if you just click on it, it will bring it up in Vimeo, and it will have the documentary here for you. It's just under an hour long. So you just can't watch it here in Blackboard, but you probably would want it to be full screen anyway. You could also click on the link here or here. So there's 3 ways to access that film. So after viewing the documentary, you're going to write 2 to 3 page review. And keep in mind, when an instructor tells you 2 to 3 pages, it's best to err closer to those 3 pages than to those just barely 2 pages. It kind of tells us that, unless you just think you absolutely said everything you could possibly say, if you're a little bit short on space and I think, oh gosh, you could have really expanded here, I'm going to think, well, you didn't even use the full allotted amount of pages that you're able to use. So I've just a little hint on when I look at grade or when I grade work that I do take that into consideration. Don't just write 3 pages to write 3 pages, but if you find that you're just at 2 pages and you think, gosh, I could really expand on this idea, then go for it. So 2 to 3 page review considering arguments both for and against the positions of Roger Scruton. That's very important. Notice that I put for and against. So if you agree with everything he says, that's fine, but I still want you to consider the arguments against his position and vice versa. If you are against everything he says, I still want you to consider where he might have some valid points. just to give you a little bit of insight in the way I feel about it, I disagree with a lot of what Roger Scruton says in this film, but I do think he has some valid concerns about the need of beauty in our society and in the contemporary world, that we do need beauty, that it is an important concept, and that art has somewhat, gotten away from the concept of beauty, but I don't necessarily think that is a bad thing, and Scruton frames this as being kind of the destruction of the art world. I'm kind of giving you more information here than I normally do to students on this assignment, but he is very one-dimensional in his supporting evidence. So the evidence he gives in the film only supports his position, and he basically ignores all other modern and contemporary art that wouldn't support his argument. So just keep those things in mind. I'd like you to watch this film with a critical eye. And it's okay if you don't agree with me and you think everything he says is just golden. That's fine. Just make sure you're supporting your opinion. We don't want to just say, I think what he says is great, I agree with him. I want to know why, and I want you to give evidence from the film that will support your position. So again, like I say here in the instructions, you'll want to use evidence from the film or your own research to support. This may include images if you'd like. Make sure that if you include images that you cite them properly. Further, consider the concepts of taste and aesthetics. This is material found in your lecture, and how they are important aspects of discerning beauty. So this assignment must include title page. It's to be formatted either MLA or APA. I don't care which one you use as long as you're consistent. It's going to be submitted through SafeAssign, so it will be scanned for plagiarism. So make sure that if you include any outside research, if you include any quotes from the film, just make sure that you include a works cited section at the end of your paper, as well as doing in-text citations. And that is that assignment, so enjoy that. I think students tend to enjoy this film. This is kind of a fun week. We get to watch lots of movies and then just write a little bit about them. So you have your film review, you have your reflection, no questions for the artist of the week, and you have your quiz, and those are all due this coming Sunday at midnight. Any comments, questions, concerns, please let me know. I'll be sitting down tomorrow. Tuesdays is usually my grading day, and I will be looking at your out of context projects and your other work from last week, and make sure you look at any feedback from those, and have a wonderful, wonderful week, everyone.